The framework for the future is now in place for the Parklands property. We'll tell you what's being proposed. Plus, the town of Ferdinand is seeking out land for its ongoing phosphorus project, and Purdue Extension educator Jan Dugan discusses portion control on tonight's edition of Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. We now have a clearer picture of the future for the Parklands property. Last night, David Gamble with Gamble & Associates, along with Barry Alberts of City Visions, laid out a framework for the nearly 60-acre site. Some of the ideas that were presented include a connected wetlands area with a pedestrian bridge, a network of trails that would be built and extended off of existing cart paths, and a small outdoor amphitheater for performances, among others. Gamble says a lot of the ideas presented have come from the public.
Well, the evolution of the parklands has really been going on for 2 years, and we feel that the framework that's been developed has been cultivated from the community. We've got a lot of great input. The general sentiment is that it's a place of passive recreation. It capitalizes on the site's intrinsic value, which is its landscape.
Gamble also showed the large crowd on hand at Clubhouse 61 a few examples of other former golf courses around the country that have now been turned into public recreational areas. He stated that developments such as new school buildings and arts centers would not be a good use of the Parklands space. Now, concerns still exist about potential parking lots and access points to the property. Gamble told the crowd space for parking can be laid out in several different lots, ranging from 40 cars up to 120 cars in capacity. Gamble says 250 to 300 cars could easily park on the property in such a setup. As for access points, Gamble says the more places that people can get onto the property, whether by car, bicycle, or on foot, the better off that things will be. City officials on hand emphasized that last night's ideas are not a final plan and there is still more to be done. Gamble says the biggest challenge now will be staying patient.
The rehabilitation of the country club into a major park is a once-in-a-generation opportunity in the evolution of a city. And it takes time to develop, and it takes time to people to see it in a new light, that it's not a former golf course, that it's really a destination in its own right. So I think the biggest challenge is resisting the urge to see change immediately and to let it evolve over time.
The next step for the city will be to find a professional design team to take last night's framework and turn it into design, development, and construction documents. Last night's framework is also being made available on the City of Jasper website. That's at jasperindiana.gov. Memorial Hospital and Healthcare Center's Emergency Department has received a special recognition for its efforts. Yesterday, the department was honored with a T-System Client Excellence Award for 2014. The award was given in the Clinical Quality category. Memorial Hospital's Emergency Department was chosen for the honor from more than 1,900 facilities nationwide and was one of 5 winners. Other recipients of the award come from North Carolina, Mississippi, Vermont, and Washington State. Now, T-System Incorporated will be making a donation to the Hospital Foundation or charity of Memorial Hospital's choice on the hospital's behalf. The T-System Client Award recognizes hospitals, freestanding emergency centers, and primary and urgent care facilities that effectively partner with T-System to improve clinical, financial, and operational outcomes for emergency care in the United States. Memorial Hospital's partnership with T-System began in May of 2013 when the hospital began using the company's electronic version software. Hospital officials say the software has led to improvements in clinical quality, along with more complete documentation. That subsequently led to improved patient safety and increased physician satisfaction, among other benefits. For more information about the T-System Client Excellence Award, you can go online to www.tsystem.com. The town of Ferdinand is continuing to explore available sites for its ongoing phosphorus project at the wastewater treatment plant. Last night, Town Council President Ken Seacard reported on a couple of recent developments. Seacard says town officials toured several different sites in late February, most of which were owned by the town. Seacard says during that trip, they discovered nearly 25 acres of vacant land on the east side of Industrial Park Road that is not owned by the town. Ferdinand Town Manager Chris James then approached landowner Dennis Wobkenberg, who expressed interest if the town should want to buy the land. Seacard says the town will now get 2 appraisals done on that property. He says the whole process is being done with future costs in mind.
We're trying to find ways where, can we keep the price down? Because if we have to go 2, 3, 4, 5 miles outside of town, it becomes very cost prohibitive in its own way. The closer we are to town, the less cost is involved in getting the sludge there and back.
Now, if they choose to buy the land, the town would pay no more than the average of the 2 appraisals. The town council approved and signed an ordinance last night that would allow them to move forward with getting the appraisals done. The Jasper Community Arts Commission has announced details for this year's Chalk Walk event. The 12th edition of the event will be held on Saturday, June 6th on the downtown Jasper Square and will run from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now, Jasper Community Arts is currently seeking applications for the arts market, food vendors, community services, musicians, and other volunteers. For the arts market, volunteers should be furniture makers, painters, potters, or blacksmiths, among other types of craftsmen. Booths have to be supplied by the applicant, and the cost per booth is $25. The Arts Commission says church, club, or local service organizations can participate in Chalk Walk as food vendors. Tents can be used as long as they meet state fire marshal code. The cost is $25 for a booth space there as well. Meanwhile, the Arts Commission also invites community service groups and other volunteers to participate. Nonprofit groups will have a free of charge setup for a booth, and it will be $25 for groups that are for profit or who may be selling items at Chalk Walk. On a final note, any volunteers should be high school age and older. The Arts Commission is looking for people to help set up, register, help with booths, and cleanup efforts. For more information, you can contact Karina Mack at 482-3070. Food vendors can call Mike Jones at 630-2468. The Arts Commission is interested in entertainers and musicians who may want to perform this year as well, and you can call Carolyn Randolph at 812-630-4418 if you are interested. Next week is Severe Weather Preparedness Week in Indiana, and officials in DuBois County want you to be prepared for the statewide tornado drill. The drill is set to take place next Thursday, March 19th. Now, the drill will be done in 2 different exercises. The first one will happen between 10 and 10:30 a.m. to allow schools and factory workers to take part. The second exercise will happen sometime between 7:30 and 8 p.m. to allow for families to practice their own safety procedures at home. Both exercises will be initiated through a test tornado warning announcement. Questions may be directed to DuBois County Emergency Management at 482-2202. And finally tonight, leaders from some of Indiana's poorest school districts say they fear proposed funding cuts they're facing, while those from growing districts are worried proposed increases might not be enough. Numerous school district officials traveled to the State House to speak Tuesday before a state Senate committee about a House-backed funding plan that would shift tens of millions of dollars to growing suburban districts. That budget plan includes 2.3% increases in school funding the next 2 years, but includes funding cuts to more than 100 school districts that have seen enrollment drop. Suburban districts say their funding growth has been too slow to meet their growth, and the model is not sustainable. All right, coming up after the break, 60 degrees is the new trend in your local forecast, and later on, Purdue Extension educator Jan Dugan gives us some tips on how to eat less at each meal. We're back after this.